Hey there YouTube, AJ here, and got a quick little project today for the house. I'm going to take this set of locker doors that I picked up at a swap meet for 20 bucks, and I'm going to make them into a cabinet for my screened-in porch using some cedar fence planks. I have a whole pile of 2x4s that I got really cheap that I could have made this cabinet out of for next to nothing. But you know, I put $40 into this, 20 in that. I got 60 into this cabinet now. That's not bad, but it's, you know, it's not as low as I like to go normally. But I wanted to use cedar instead of pine because it's going to be outside. Well, outside. It's going to be on the screened-in porch. And you know, bugs could possibly get into it, and cedar has bug repelling properties. You know, they don't like cedar. So yeah, we're going to go ahead and make it out of, just spend a little money. We're going to make it out of cedar instead. And yeah, I think it's going to be just fine. One good thing about using these cedar fence pickets, they're already the same height as my cabinet. So it's just going to be making a box out of them and then cutting some interior shelves, and of course making the braces that tie all the pieces together. I'll have to make a top and then have a shelf for the first door here, then a shelf for this door. Interior of these two is just going to be one combined cabinet. Both of these doors will open into the same space, and then of course there'll have to be a bottom in it. So let's get to it. Now building the sides is going to be pretty straightforward. It's just simply going to be two of these pieces together. So that's going to give me a cabinet depth of roughly 11.5 inches. The only thing I have to worry about on the sides is this bracket right here. That is actually the latch that for the top doors. There's one on this side over here and one here, and that has to be able to slide up and down. When I go to make these boards here, I'm going to have to mark out where this goes and notch it so this piece can slide up and down. If we notch it from here to here, the notch that's already there, match that notch on the metal, we should be really good.
So I'm gonna get here to here.
And of course we need to know how deep to notch it.
That's to the top of the bracket, so we'll probably have to come a little smidge deeper than that. So if we draw the line and cut on our line, it should be good.
Alright, I'm trying to stay in the shade here because it is hot.
I'll take my drill and drill holes in these corners of my cuts. Don't like that. Drill a little slower. Very low pressure for the cedar. It wants to pull right through it. That's why I had to rip out here. That's alright, it'll be hidden. Alright, next. Much better. It's okay to make mistakes, just learn from them. Alright, now we're going to take the jigsaw and kind of along the cord. Now we're going to take the jigsaw and we're just going to cut these out. That was horrible.
Very simple, very easy. Alright. Alright, so we got our first two side pieces made. Now, theoretically, our top, our shelves, and our bottom should all be the exact same width. So if I measure here and then cut 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 pieces all the same length, then I should have all the pieces I need for my internal shelves. I will still have to modify the front shelf to go in and around the framework of the cabinet here, here, and at the bottom. And then the back shelf, I'm actually going to cut it a little less than full width so I can countersink the back of my cabinet so that I won't have outside edges of a board up here. Alright, so I got all my internal shelf pieces cut. Now, these, I'm going to need to notch the corners so they can drop in around the frame. So we're going to have to cut, hang on, sweat dripping into my glasses, I couldn't see anything. So we're just going to mark the inside of this where I need to cut. By the way, I don't know if it's evident, but I have no plan to how I'm building this. I'm just starting and putting wood together. That's it. That may come back to bite me at some point, but that's how I generally do these kind of projects. I don't really lay out an exact plan ahead of time. So, alright, so I got my width I need to notch. So now I need to repeat that for the front board of this shelf, and that shelf. Now this bottom one, I didn't notice this when I was at the other end checking, but it also has a piece in here in the middle that I need to cut out for. So I need to put this in here like that. Mark the notches. And then let's see how deep this one has to be. Okay, so there we have it, phase one complete. We built the front half of the cabinet, essentially. Nothing's attached, obviously, but that will come yet. And yeah, looking good so far. So basically we have to do that again, but just to layer up. Alright, so I'm going to be using wood glue. I like Type Bond 3 normally. I use that a lot. And I will be gluing every joint and nailing it with my little air nailer. Oh, that was horrible. I just cut the whole side of my bottle open.
Apply some glue. That's one.
Get the first half ready, completed. Basically have to build that again with a couple of things different. First, we have to make something to attach this to this. obviously just this joint to this joint, you can't just glue it. You have to have a mechanical fastening somehow. So we got to do something there to make this want to stay together. So what we're going to do is cut some strips that'll run from in here to that back here. And we will inset it just a little bit because we don't want it to go all the way down because we want our back to be flush. So if I set the next sideboard up on top here and measure from the inside frame of the door to the top edge of this board, we get a smidge over 10¼ inches. But we want the back to sit in, so we don't want our stringers coming out to this edge. We want it to be just inside the edge, the thickness. So we want it to make it 10¼ minus the thickness of this. These are about 9/16 thick. So 10¼ minus a ½ inch is 9¾ and then we want to take another 1/8 off of that. So I'm going to continue using these boards, what I have left of them, and make my stringers out of those as well. I'll first cut it to 9 5/8, and then I'll rip it to whatever width I need to get the right amount.
9 5/8, we'll add a 16th to it. And then we'll cut right on the line. That actually goes right there. Okay.
Okay, so now what we want to do, we got the depth cut of these. Now we need to get the width. And what we want to do is try to get 4 pieces out of both of these. That way we'll have enough stringers for under each shelf, the top, and the bottom. Well, on the bottom it'll go above, but you know, whatever. Okay, so we got all our stringer pieces to run front to back to attach the 2 sides. So what we're going to do is put these up here, like that, so forth and so on. So that way. All right. And then we'll be able to attach these to that, of course. And then when it gets to your back pieces, they'll sit in like that. And we'll probably have to address the back with another stringer again too. So anyway, we'll worry about that when we get there. So for now, what we're going to start doing is attaching these pieces to the front piece. Alright, now we're ready to start attaching our next layer of sides. Basically, we're just going to keep going with the same philosophy, and at the same time we'll start adding these in as well. Okay, so we got the next layer or depth of our cabinet attached. So, as you can see, my little stringers in there, everything's holding. So you got to do 2 things next. One, these shelves here, I need to trim down to the depth of the stringer. Not a big deal. 2, I need to cut back pieces to the correct length, because as you can see, they are going to fit in behind this board. So I need to cut these down to where they fit in here. Not a hard thing to do. And cut those. Then I can finish assembling everything. So, the basic box is done. We have sides. And we have the back panel. So, what's next? The next thing we're going to do is make a couple of shelves for each side, because this cabinet's going to be sitting between two chairs out on our screened-in porch. And a person sitting in those chairs on a hot summer day might have a need of a little shelf right there for some reason, if you get my drift. So we're going to cut out a couple shelves to fit here and brace those up. Okay, so were you laughing? If you watched all of that, you saw that I put this on upside down, which caused me to have to do a design change on the fly, because my brace that I made on the inside to attach this to is no longer in the right position, but it's good and solid now. I just have to adjust here. It's going to be a little higher than I wanted, but that's all right, I guess. Well, someone will have to reach a little further for the drink, maybe. Or maybe it's a compromise between using it standing up or sitting down. I don't know. We'll figure out some kind of excuse for it, but that's where we're at. So, I'm going to go ahead and do this other one. I'm not going to film that. Alright, so we've overcome our blunder. We've got our shelves on both sides. Two things left to do. First things first, just going to go over it with a rough sandpaper, take down some of the fuzz and any sharp edges. The thing about this cabinet is it's made to look rustic. It's not meant to have a perfect fit and finish fine furniture feel. So we're just going to rough it up real quick and Alright, other than the final cleanup, the only thing I have left to do is to make some feet for this thing to stand on. I want to have the ability to level it. So a trick I've used in the past is I take skateboard wheels. Normally I use old ones, used ones, but this one's really, this set's really soft and rubbery. I'm not going to use them. I got them for free somewhere, I don't know. Anyway, I'm going to take a set of these wheels, put them on a bolt, and then put holes through the bottom, and then I'll be able to adjust my height up and down, level it to the floor it's sitting on. Before I can do that though, these bolts sit just a little proud of the surface of the wheel, so I've got to grind these heads down some. Well, there you have it. My little rustic locker cabinet to go between the chairs. It was a pretty straightforward project, but sometimes frustrating. I screwed up a couple times. I've wiped it down, cleaned off the grime on the outside. I will come back in at some point here and use some car polish, polish up this paint, get off some of the markings on it, make it look a little better at least. I don't want it to look perfect, but you know, I will clean it up and make it as nice. I want to see some age on it, but in general, that's what it's going to be. So that's basically it. It was a fun little project, but you know, it was some work. So you know, I think I deserve one of these now. So have fun with your own projects. And until my next project, later YouTube.